good morning, and welcome to another edition of Let It Be Known. And as you would say, Neil, we got lots to talk about.
Peace and love, everybody. I'm Niele Anderson, and assalamu alaikum to my Muslim brothers and sisters. Today, we have headlines from all across the country, and we will be talking about and celebrating the 30th anniversary of the Million Man March.
Is that why you said Assalamu alaikum?
Uh, you can add one plus one, and it equals two.
See, I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. See, listen, because it's just something new. Why not? Um, what? First of all, let's go to our producer, see what she has for us this morning.
What jump for that?
For what?
What's going on here?
I didn't touch you.
What's going on? What are you guys doing?
Somebody please make some.
Yes, she do. She just told me that.
What's wrong with you guys?
Let me just get a big one. We just trying to confirm.
So back up at least give him space. You could do what you do, but just give him space.
We're trying to talk about what you guys are.
I can't.
No, I don't know what you want. You guys.
What are you guys doing? What's wrong with you guys?
That is working, man. All right, sir. So look at the same immigration.
Why? Tell him why.
I can't get ready to go.
Check if everything comes out good. We'll call you back. Okay. Can I get my contact?
Bitch, you stupid bitch. That's why you're a bunch of fucking criminals. I wish you would. I wish the fuck you would. Yes, the fuck we his family. You're a bunch of big pussies. Don't tell me calm down. Who the fuck is you? We don't like none of you.
You okay?
No, how can I be okay? You okay? Are you okay?
Are you okay?
I look like I'm okay? Don't come up in my face here because I hit hard. Fuck wrong with y'all?
Try it.
I wish you would.
Try it.
You try me and see what the fuck happened. Nigga, we angry. All of us angry out here. So don't think it's y'all alone.
Get out of here.
You who you telling get out of here? Why you telling me get out of here? You asked me a question and I'm answering you.
Get out of here. Man.
Fuck wrong with you? Oh, stupid ass bitch. That's why you gotta hide your face.
You wanna go to jail?
You told me my mother I can tell you anything.
You wanna go to
Fuck
jail?
wrong with you? You wanna hit me? Hit me, bitch. You ain't got me. Nobody's scared of you. You're a pussy ass. Come. I got rings on, bitch. So yeah, you gonna fight. You a pussy bitch. You a pussy bitch. That's why your kids them don't like you and your wife is fucking on you. That's why you gotta hide your face. My face ain't hidden, bitch. I'm American, you stupid bitch. Fuck wrong with y'all? You can take me too high. I'm sure the Zodiac Press. You know what to do? Tell them, no. You want me? Fuck wrong with y'all? Fuck all of you. Put that on the news. Let Trump see it.
I'm with her energy. I'm with her energy all day long.
I saw that video. I watched it a couple of times, in fact, only because it's just so. She's right. People are angry. Everybody's angry, and what they're doing is so unconstitutional, and it's just so Jim Crowish. And the thing about it is, like, what's happening, folks, too, when we talk about immigration. I did a story the other day, not just because it's I wrote it, but I think you should all read it. On BlackPressUSA.com. But what's happening here, y'all want to talk about, we need, and you're right, Niele, we need immigration reform. We've always needed it. We don't need it now. We don't need it now because they don't know how to do it. They don't know how to do it in a humane way. These people are going to their hearings. They get hearings, folks. These hearings are scheduled sometimes a year out, months out. They go to the hearings. The hearings is for them to become legal citizens. And what is happening is, and even judges are objecting to what ICE is doing. They're going there. They're either grabbing them before the hearings, or the judges have, for whatever reason, has had to postpone the hearings. And so they postpone the hearing and they walk out of the hearing, and ICE is snatching them, saying they're illegal.
Right.
That's not right.
Right. It's happening. I mean, it's not right that you have men in no uniforms with no badges, white men with masks on, reminiscent of the Klan, with zip ties in their back pocket, just taking people in unmarked cars. That's not right either. Everything about how ICE and Homeland Security is handling this immigration it is no longer immigration reform. Right. It is slave catching and clan business. That's exactly
Exactly.
what this is. Okay.
Exactly.
Clan business.
Exactly. 100%. And and that's why they're so heartless. And that's why they're covering their faces like the Ku Klux Klan did. They covered their faces with hoods. They're covering their faces. They even got some house Negroes to help them out, which is understandable because it happened during slavery, it happened during the Jim Crow. So you see, there's no way in the world, and we got to feed our families, et cetera, et cetera. No way in the world I would take a job like that.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about the remigration a little bit later in the show. But there is just a rollout of needs to be addressed. And I think on Saturday, we're going to talk about that a little bit later too. The No Kings Parade that's coming up. It's just going to show how pissed off American people are.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And the Orange says, don't leave out the sellout Negroes, Asians, Latinos, and Arabs. They work for ICE. Yep. And the sellouts, we see them on the timeline too, Orangey. They come up in our chats here in the comments too. We got several other big sellouts. Welcome back. But anyway, and here's more of what your these people's master Trump has orchestrated. The Supreme Court is going to undo a key part of the Voting Rights Act. They're going to dismantle it now. So all you talk about, those, and I'm not criticizing you. This is what you've been saying. Niele said, vote, vote, vote. Well, you're not going to be able to. How about that? Thanks to Donald Trump. There you go. Black folks are not going to be able to. So what do you say now?
Yes, oral arguments are currently happening right now. I ask you to go to Roland Martin's channel, Google it. You might even want to go to C-SPAN, but you can actually listen to the oral arguments. You hear Justice Ketanji Brown speaking, and you hear the attorney, eloquently articulating why Section 2 is important, why it matters. But you also hear Justice Kavanaugh, Justice Roberts, talking about how long this was never supposed to be forever. And the attorney is eloquently pointing out, Exhibit A through Z as to why Section 2 is still needed this very day. And so it's quite interesting to listen to. I would implore you guys after Let It Be Known goes off to go over there and listen to it, because it's important and it's critical for us to understand just how much, in one of Stacy's favorite terms, this Supreme Court is capitulating to all of the things that Donald Trump wants.
Yeah. And this is so somebody just put, Nancy Wall says their seats should not be forever either. And once, and who knows how long from now this will happen when they remove MAGA from office. Once that happens, it could be soon, it could be decades from now.
20 years. Yeah, it could be 20
Right.
years. Yeah.
But that's going to be the first thing I believe that they will do, is to make sure that there's going to be term limits on that Supreme Court. And it's going to, that in itself, term limits in itself, will at least bring some sort of accountability to these judges.
Right. And just so we know that Black people are on the front line in front of the courts. Black Voters Matter brought 7 buses to DC. Latasha Brown, Chris Albright, they're there. NAACP Legal Defense Fund is there. National Council of Negro Women are there. You have people, chapters from the Urban League that are there. Black folks are on the front line right now. And that's something that we're not seeing in media. We're barely seeing clips of it, but I think what really needs to be seen is how the people are standing up. And that's one of the things that they want to suppress, is the movement of the people, because we know we're going to talk about the Million March a little bit later. When Black folks begin to mobilize and they begin to show up, it does make impact. And what the Trump Klan administration is doing is having media suppress it.
Yeah, David Youngblood says it's 1890 all over again with some 1930s Nazism as gravy.
Yeah.
Couldn't say that better. Ahead of the Senate's night, and here's another problem. Ahead of the Senate's what 10th attempt to pass the House passed government funding stopgap bill, Majority Leader John Thune of South Dakota said in floor remarks that Republicans need just a handful more Democrats to vote in favor. 3 members of the Democratic caucus have so far joined Republicans in trying to advance the bills, and they are, you should know who they are, Senator Angus King, of course, the idiot from Pennsylvania, the lowlife John Fetterman, and Catherine Cortez Masto of Nevada. So they flipped, and so they have told you that we don't want you, they have joined Republicans in saying that we don't want you to have affordable health care.
Of course. And that's the problem. Not all allies are allies. I mean, this is something, you move with the party, right? If the entire party and you call yourself a member of that party, I mean, the Trump administration understands the assignment. Clearly, they understand the assignment and they move as such. It is once again this Democratic Party who all have their own agenda in some sort as to why they can't support Palestinian people, as to why they can't support and stand with Democrats on this bill. There's always something to where you got those few that are going to mess it up for the sum of all.
Yeah. Patricia Jackson says, time to unite and take care of our own. We raise money. We need our own money. Nobody fighting for rights, but benefits from our fight. It's crazy. So yeah, there you go. And on a rare good news front, a organization, a national nonprofit called Reparation Generation, which was born out of the racial reckoning following George Floyd's murder, is turning the Detroit's 2021 voter-approved reparations initiative into action, backed by a city that overwhelmingly supported creating a reparations task force to address centuries of discrimination. The organization is providing $25,000 home ownership grants and genealogy tracing for Black descendants of enslaved people. The mission is to build wealth where systemic racism once stripped it away and to model what real reparations can look like nationwide. So the $25,000 helps these individuals, descendants of enslaved, to with home ownership and to be able to trace their history.
Yeah, this is where the conversation where I love, it's debatable because some would say this isn't what reparations is. When we look at the study that California did, reparations is not just about a dollar amount or 40 acres and a mule. So I think this is a form of reparations, as long as is it, Chet? Is this a form of reparations?
It's a form of reparations. They didn't have to do this because they could follow it around with many other cities and of course the federal government, which isn't doing nothing. They're doing what they can do. And remember, Detroit, the voters approved this, like in California, but they didn't wait for this organization. Didn't wait for the government to say, let's do this. This organization is doing this because it's the right thing to do.
Right. Chicago did the same thing. Well, Illinois did the same thing, a small town in Illinois. Evanston. Yes. And there was a lot of chatter about, I don't know if this is reparations or not, but I love the fact that we are reimagining what reparations can be for our communities. And we're doing something. Something is better than nothing. So $25,000 is better, than not getting 40 acres and a mule at all.
And make no mistake, this is not full. No one is saying that this is full reparations. No one is pretending that it is. This is what this organization can do, right? They're showing the government that if we can do this, you can do it right. So somebody says 25,000, you could say it's not enough or whatever. It's a start, and it's an example. This is what reparation generation is about. It's an example that yes, it can be done. And I would imagine that if they could do more, they would. But you're talking about a lot of Black folks in Detroit, a whole
Mhm.
lot, who are descendants of enslaved folks. So I think they've set another example for the government, because this is a government
But
responsibility.
is it
This is
available to all the people from Detroit, or is it a selected of amount? I mean,
so
can every Black person that is a descendant of slavery get this $25,000, or is it like a lottery?
so what I'm understanding is that there is a process they have to go through to show that they are descendants of enslaved people, that they didn't just, they may say that they're quote foundational Black, but then you find out that their daddy was a slave owner. Their uncle
Yeah,
daddy was a slave. So
yeah, or
what I
is it?
understand is a process. I don't know exactly what that entails,
But
but
that's
I
what
do
I'm
know it's a
saying. But
process.
does it
Yeah,
go for all descendants of slavery? And
those who qualify.
those who all so
Hmm.
all defendants of slavery can get 25,000. That's a lot of money. I'm
That's a
I'm
lot of
trying to see
money.
if they have enough money to give
Hmm.
every descendant. Number one. My second question would be, and this is not to you, this is just a general question.
Hmm.
I know here in California, one of the sticking points for the divide within the Black community is direct descendants. So they were saying like a Kamala Harris or a Barack Obama, they wouldn't qualify for reparations because although Barack Obama is Black, his
Right.
Blackness comes from Africa and his
Right.
father wasn't a descendant of slavery. Same for Kamala Harris. So I'm just curious to know. And I'm like I said, I'm not
Hmm.
asking you, but like what are the
Right. Right.
guidelines and stipulations? And I would ask the chat, do you think that
Hmm.
somebody of a with ancestry and of a Barack Obama or Kamala Harris, not because of how much money they have, but just because of what they're made up of, do you think people like that deserve reparations?
It's a great question. It's been an argument for a long time among certain people. Um,
What do you think?
and I just believe that if reparations are going to be available, did Barack Obama, did Kamala Harris, did Joe Smith, were they in some way affected by systemic racism? And I think if the answer is yes, I don't care who you are, you should receive reparations.
Oh, so
As
your thing is if you were Black and come succumb to discrimination,
right, if
that you're
you've been
entitled.
subjected to, right,
Mm.
because you got to understand that slavery happened, yes, and it was the worst thing ever, right? Then you go down to Reconstruction and Jim Crow, and during Jim Crow, if you were of dark skin, the heck, you were going to be treated just like you are an African American, right? And throughout the civil rights movement, throughout the 70s, and even today, black redlining, mass incarceration. If you're a victim of any of that, then I think you're entitled. My opinion is that you are entitled to um, some form of reparations. And as RNG, he says, and I like what he said. He said it's sad that we have to imagine what reparations is supposed to look like, but the Japanese not only received money, they received an apology, and we are
Mhm.
still fighting. The Japanese spent 4 years, he says, compared to our ancestors spent centuries as enslaved Americans.
Yeah, I know. One of the bills that Gavin Newsom signed last year was an official apology, and you do see different cities across the country, making that first step of apologizing for slavery, which is a first step. And I think David Youngblood makes a good point. Kamala's dad is a descendant of slavery, but not
Hmm.
American chattel slavery. So I think this is an important conversation for the Black
Hmm.
community to have, because when we think of the concept of 40 acres and a mule, that was specifically for descendants of slavery, not
Hmm.
discrimination, but because you were brought over here. So that's an interesting conversation, and I love to hear what people think about it, because I'm really not sure how I feel
Hmm.
either way, but I think the
Hmm.
priority should be direct descendants of slavery. I do
Yeah,
believe
I
that.
agree with that too. I think the priority should be, but I also think that if there's opportunity, that those others should not be left out. Because again, You had those the victimization continued long after, and even down to this day after slavery. We're seeing it today. The victimization continues, and RNG pointing out the Japanese, our Jewish friends, they received big time reparations from the Holocaust. Everyone but us has received any sort of reparations.
The group of people that actually built this country and made it to what
Mhm.
everybody wants to come over here for.
Yeah, exactly. And we just did the other day, one of our black facts was the fact that, as you all knew, we named the slaves who helped build the White House, who was at the
Mhm.
front lines building the White House, building the Capitol, building Washington D.C. So you're right. This country itself, I mean, that's just Washington D.C.
And building
Um,
culture,
building culture. Yeah.
and building stoplights, refrigerators,
Yeah. Yeah.
train tracks.
Hmm.
I mean, anything you think about that you might, blow dryers, anything that you can think about, 9 chances out of 10, a black person has the patent for it.
Yeah, yeah. Patricia Jackson says, "How did we go? How did they have to prove that they were Japanese? It's always a test, but we have so much going on that uh, hard to be a top issue. Well, reparations is hard to be a top issue. I think is what she's saying. It's probably not a top issue. I don't know that we've made it a top issue. I
Mhm.
don't know who's making it a top issue. It's an issue that, you know, as I think Neil, you might agree, you will agree. I think that it's an issue that why should we let that go?
Oh, talking about reparations?
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. It's like one of the biggest conversations within the black community that we're having. And that's what I love because we still have our eye on the prize. Even though all of this is going around, with the Trump clan and everything that we're doing, there are still enough black people in this country that can walk and chew gum at the same time. We can
Hmm.
protest, but we can also stay on the course of things that we know that we justly deserve. And I think in the long run, it might not pay off for us, but hopefully it'll pay off for our, nieces, nephews, and grandchildren, that they'll be able to see reparations, because that is also a part of American history, which is
Yeah. Yeah.
Black history, of course, but it is a part of American history and it has not been reconciled yet.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. There are folks who, like you said, fought for this long before us, right? Long before we came along. They fought for their children, their nieces, nephews, as you said. Um, you take, for instance, Dr. King knew he wasn't going to be around to see his quote unquote dream. He knew that. We know that because the night before he was killed, he said he was about to die,
He's
right?
been to the mountaintop.
Right. So he knew. So his fight wasn't for him, right? It was for others. It was for those who came after him, who would come after
Mhm,
him. And so
mhm.
I guess that's what you're saying. And it's mentioned in the chat too that who says this? Michelle Madison says the Indians have reparations, definitely in Florida, tax-free enterprises. And Nagon 11 says we are not getting reparations because we're not all together on this and unified politically. That's an issue, right? The unification is an issue.
Well, I think though that that's one thing that black folks are coming together on. They're just trying to reconcile the right course as to how we get to it. But you will find, different pools of black folks, ADOS, the what do you guys call them? The Federation Black folks. um
Yeah.
and then so they're different groups. Like when we talked to Chris Lodgenson on Monday, I mean, I've had some conversations with other people. Some people find him problematic, but he's the least problematic of others.
Yeah.
And so even with like one of our lawmakers out here, Isaac Bryan, is getting dragged. and they're saying that he didn't get he did all of that bootlicking with Gavin Newsom, and he didn't get what he was supposed to have. But Isaac is also pushing policy that is good for Black people. And so there is a huge conversation that's happening, and I love it because it's educational and it keeps the history of what white folks did to Black folks alive and well in this country.
Yeah, yeah, it does. And for those who, you know what, we got a guest coming up. Go ahead. Well, who's our guest, Niele?
Oh, you ready to get started? Because I think our guest could really chime in on this conversation because he's at the forefront as well. But first, today marks the 30-year anniversary that Minister Louis Farrakhan called on Black men to be in Washington, D.C. for the Million Man March. It was also a historic march organized by our very own Dr. Ben Chavis. Greer, did you want to play something?
Who is the Assistant Supreme Captain of the Nation of Islam. I want to say that there's just one thing I want to lay to rest. Go ahead. Come on. Prior to this day, there was a whole lot of speculation about who was calling this march. And before our brother comes, I want to just clarify to the world that God called this march through nobody else but the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
All right, joining us now as we remember this historic day is the International Field Coordinator of Black Lives Matter Grassroots and the Director of the Fannie Lou Hamer Institute. Let it be known, family, welcome Baba Akili. Good morning.
Good morning, Niele. How are you?
I am good. Good to see you as well. I want to talk to you about reparations because we were just talking about that. And you've been on the forefront with that as well. Before we get into the Million Man March conversation, we were talking about who deserves reparations. We were also talking about in Detroit, they were giving away $25,000 for homes. What does reparations look like in America today for Black folks?
Yeah, very quickly. I've been involved in the struggle and understanding of reparations since the early 70s, since I met Queen Mother Moore. And she, at the Congress of African People, at every conference that I ever went to around Black folks, she was there talking about reparations. And then I got a chance to be supportive of Mr. Peoples here in Los Angeles. And so this is a real issue. I think Black people and the descendants of Black people whose families worked and produced the wealth of this society deserve reparations. And I'm not going to split hairs. I'm not going to say you should and you should get it, but not you. I do think we have to have a process for it. And one of the useful things that I've learned over the years, because I'm on the board of the Institute of the Black World, and it's something that we've been working on for, decades, is looking at Evanston, Illinois, where they're giving away $25,000. And they specified, and they did the research, and they looked at where were Black people most impacted. And it was housing, that Black people were purposely, deliberately, and methodically removed from certain areas of housing. And so they felt through a community process that would be the best way to engage and get support for Black people. They targeted a spending source that is a tax on marijuana, and it goes to descendants of Black people between the I think 1911 and 1969, which is where the most horrendous housing discrimination took place in Evanston, and it is working out, and you get it to as a down payment for a house, to rehabilitate your house, or to use it, to build equity for a house. And so and maybe at some point you may want to have Rules Simmons on to talk about that, how it's working, what they took to get it. It's an example. And every year in Evanston in December, the local, the groups that are working on reparations locally gather to talk about what's happening, what's the state of what's going on. And the belief is that if we can get this going at the local level, it can be a catapult to the national level, because we can show how it works, we can show the process, we can show and demonstrate what are some of the things that can be done and how to do it.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
That's an awesome explanation and a
Right.
really letting us know what Evanston has really done, because to regather, they didn't just say we're giving you, from what I hear you're saying, you're giving you this $25,000 for your home or whatever. They come back a year later and say, okay, how is this going and what else can we do?
Yep. And every year in Evanston, around December, the first week in December, people from around the country and local people talk about what's happening locally with reparations. And once again, it's seen as a catalyst for the national. One of the things that we're finding is that we've allowed this to be complicated. It wasn't complicated when the Japanese got it. When they
We
got
had somebody say
reparations,
that too.
when the Japanese got it in the 80s, it wasn't complicated. It was who was placed in those camps, who was illegally punished, and a certain amount was agreed on, and they got it. And there was no discussion about whether they know how to use it or not, or whether how they know how to spend it. There was no discussion about who was. They certainly had to go through a process of who would be entitled to it. And I think that that's an ongoing discussion. I think one of the things that we've allowed ourselves to do, and I just came back from Sweden, where Black Lives Matters Grassroots has a chapter. And one of the things that strikes you right off is the meaning, value, and impact of Pan-Africanism. The number of Africans around the world, the struggles that they're in, and you really can connect the struggles here to the struggles in the Sudan, in the Congo, and how Black people are around the world are struggling, and it certainly connects directly to the same struggle that exists here in the U.S. And so this idea of splitting hairs and saying you deserve it, but you don't because you're not original, and in many cases, most of us don't know who our fathers and grandfathers and the rest were. And it's going to take a lot of work to come up with that kind of research. And there are going to be a lot of disappointed people because they're not going to be able to prove direct lineage. Because, it wasn't until the 1870s that we were even listed in the census. And so it's going to be a massive process. But I think the concept around restoration, and that's what it is about, is meaningful, and it acknowledges the hurt, harm, and damage that was done to Black people who were enslaved, discriminated against, and to this day, and yesterday, right in the Supreme Court, they're talking about rolling back, eliminating the Voting Rights Act. And so our history and the four things that I've observed that Black people deal with: white supremacy, institutional racism, individual bigotry, and mass denial. The last one allows the other three to exist, but we're going through it now. And I'm going to transition very quickly, but one of the things that in 1995, 96, the Million Man March did was put out front the best of us, that said that we are a people, and our men are a people that can, have, and will do positive things in our community. Because the perception to this day is that we are a criminal people, we are a violent people, and we are a irresponsible people. And so one of the best things about the Million Man March was that it sent a message that we're not any of those things in totality, that we are a proud, righteous people who want to see the best for our people and the best for our community. And it was really a good day to send that message. One of the couple of things that I remember about it that was, that was impactful to me. First, all the planning that went on around the country, starting these committees, local committees, and Minister Farrakhan would come around and kind of, visit the committees, and it gave us, his presence. And the idea of him coming gave us a way to mobilize people, to get them to hear him, and then to get them to fully understand why the Million Man March was needed, what would happen. And so that, I think, was one of the more memorable events, the whole planning leading up to it. The other thing for me is flying out, and I was in San Diego at the time, flying out to Washington, with all these brothers on the plane, all these black men on the plane, and watching white people, whoa, and then flying back after the Million Man March and being treated in the airport, in the Baltimore airport, because we flew into Baltimore, being treated just borderline special by the attendants and everybody as we flew on the flight. And then because it was a delegation of us that went from LA and San Francisco and all over, but we went into Baltimore and we spent the night in Baltimore, and then got on a train to go into Washington, and you saw the train stop by stop filling up more and more with black men. And I have this picture that there's this one white guy, he's standing there with this look on his face, like, whoa. So that was one of the more memorable things. And then one of the other thing that I remember is that we cleaned up. We left the place better than we got there.
And that's important.
Right.
It was. And I thought that the call to clean up right then and there was, and Newt Gingrich and the Republicans, they shut down Washington because they thought it was going to be, because anytime two black people get together, it's going to be violent. And it was peaceful, it was inspiring, and it I think certainly was one of the momentous times, certainly in my life, and the organizing and mobilizing that I've done over the years. I'm glad I was there. I was glad I was a part of the local organizing committee that helped educate and mobilize people. And I think it served its purpose. And its purpose was to say, we are black men, and we are good men. We are supportive men. We are men who want to see the best for ourselves and our community. And it did that in the best ways possible.
One of the top objectives was to get out the vote. And when we look at this conversation today about black men and them finding their identity in parties, they don't see themselves in the Democratic Party. You hear stories about black men resonating with Republicans. What was it like, or what was the work that was done when you came back to San Diego, to California, concerning getting out the vote and mobilizing black men to participate in the state we are in today?
Yeah, that was an emphasis. There was two particular emphases that I think. One was the voter registration, in large part because Jesse spoke that day. And Jesse, had been a presidential candidate. He registered more than 3 million people, and he made reference to it, consistent reference to it. So it became kind of a call to action. And so in many cases, people went back. The other thing that went back and did voter registration, we did in San Diego. There was, an election that was pending in November, and we came back and did voter registration every weekend. We canvassed door to door. We went into communities, and people liked it. I mean, that was one of the most positive things. The other positive thing that people don't talk about is the number of Black adoptions that resulted in it. And Brother Lenny Lenny Dunstan, who was the chair emeritus of the National Black Social Workers, really paid emphasis to that. And so the number of Black adoptions just quadrupled after the Million Man March. And it was probably one of the most impactful and sustained things that resulted from the Million Man March. But there was a voter registration. And one of the stories that was told repeatedly, many of us came back, and some of us did simple things like street sweeping. I mean, there was this one report, and I don't remember the newspaper that talked about this brother who came back from the Million Man March, and he just, swept out in front, swept his street every day after because it was something you could do. And that's what the call was, something positive that you could do, and 2 years later in San Diego, we hosted the state conference and follow up on the Million Man March. It was the last time that I saw Kwame Ture. He was a keynote speaker, and he talked about the Million Man March. He reminded us that we need that level of mobilization, but we also got to build organization to make sure that you can capture the kind of positive emphasis that you built. And I think that was in 1998. And Dr. Shirley Weber was there, Dr. Maulana Karenga. Dr. Maulana Karenga wrote the mission statement for the Million Man March, and framed it in this question of atonement, that we had to atone, but also America had to atone for the way they treated us. And so he wrote and Dr. Maulana Karenga is a prolific and great writer.
He's also the founder of Kwanzaa too. Let's get that out there.
Yes, absolutely. Interestingly enough, I was back in Washington, D.C., and I think this was 2006 when the 20th anniversary, and Dr. Melina Abdullah spoke from Black Lives Matters at the 20th commemoration. And so we were back in Washington, D.C. It was really a little different. We had, I think it was, I forgot there was a Bush administration still in, but it was interesting to be back there 20 years later. You got Dr. Melina Abdullah speaking. You got, a lot of new people speaking that were either too young to be there the first time. And one of the tensions that we had to deal with, one is, there's overemphasis on the Black man. What about the Black woman? Interestingly enough, and I don't know if you have pictures of it, but on the train going up, there was a group of women who met us at the train station with these signs saying, "We love you." And when we got there, there were all these women there that were there that was, commenting on, how we need this and the rest. And so while it was the emphasis was on men, because at the time it was felt it was needed, it was not my inclusion and then your exclusion. It was an emphasis. The emphasis needed to be on men, that we needed to step up and step in and be more responsible, be more considerate, and be more supportive.
I love that. Go ahead, Stacy.
Yeah. Do you can you envision, especially with what's going on today and all the planning you guys put into it? It was great planning, and of course Marion Barry. And I really want you to talk about Marion Barry too, his role in making sure this happened in DC. But can you envision this occurring again today under these circumstances? And is it needed to happen?
Oh, it's definitely needed. There's no doubt of that. I think one of the things that happened, though, was that the only person who could do this and the only organization that could do this is the Nation of Islam and Minister Farrakhan. In large part, while we may not all agree, and I remember sitting in meetings, in the planning meetings, and I remember sticking my foot in my mouth going, "Well, Brother Minister, you may not want to say the Million Man March, because if it's less than 1 million, then they will be attacked." and the room got silent because you simply didn't raise those kind of questions. But I certainly because he was seen as a singular voice for our people that was uncompromising. Whether you agreed with him or not, whether you supported the Nation of Islam or not, you knew for decades, starting with the founding, with Elijah Muhammad, Malcolm, and Minister Farrakhan, that what they were saying about conditions was true, and you wanted to say it, as a matter of fact, but you didn't know if you said it, if you could get away with it, and so they made it possible for you to think they said what you thought. And so I think part of it was his personality, his relationship, and the organization's conditions. They are seen as independent. They're not, partisan. They're not, and he was a beloved figure, whether you agree with him or not. One of the disappointing things is that in the mid '80s here in LA, when Minister Farrakhan came, Tom Bradley had to disavow him. People, there was certain parts of the community that said, now, and he did, but he also gave him a subtle welcome too. But that's how impactful the nation was, and that's how impactful Minister Farrakhan is. I mean, he's 92 now. Still in pretty good health from what I understand. But that's the first thing. The second thing was how they framed it. Was we needed to do this for ourselves. We needed to project the goodness about us. We needed to send out a message that we were a positive, powerful, productive people. And our men were that way. And so the combination of the Minister Farrakhan in the nation, independence, and certainly the personality of Minister Farrakhan, and then the message that resonated with people, resonated with men and women. I don't know if you could do that today, because I don't know who could make that call and we would respond in the same way. I do think that we need that kind of mass mobilization that was done. But I'm not sure who would make the call and how people would respond. And I think the difference today would be, it would have to be a collective call. There's no prominent enough African American that could make that call like Minister Farrakhan did, and that we would respond in the same way. So it would have to be a collective call. It would have to be the collective Black leadership to say, come here, come now, and come show the best of us.
So there's a call on Saturday. I want to, rich information, rich stories about the Million Man March. But we know that we still need to march today. Yes. Saturday, we have a No Kings rally. A lot of Black people are still not ready to come outside. What do you say to those Black people, and why should Black people show up on Saturday?
Well, first of all, we are under attack. Black people are under attack. This administration and this president is taking steps to erase us, to erase our contribution, to erase our history, to erase our positivity to this society. And the classic definition of racism is the denial and deprivation of a people's history, humanity, and right to freedom based exclusively upon race. And so this is a classic definition. And so, and you can see what's happening in the Supreme Court. I think the distance may be that we haven't been touched, or not being touched yet personally. I'm 77, and so I grew up in the segregated South, where you could see, the law, the practice, and the custom reinforce your status. We have become, a little uncomfortable, and I think the Black Lives Matters movement certainly, in 2020, kind of was able to connect with people, and as Dr. Melina Abdullah talks about, the world cracked open, and we've been able to connect and build on that. I mean, we've added chapters every year since then, but it's that. I think it's that, and that came from two things: the disgust that people felt when they saw Chauvin's knee on George Floyd's neck. By the way, his his birthday was day before yesterday, and how he looked into the camera as if, and very nonchalantly, while he is murdering somebody, a human being, he's doing as if it's just another day. He's got a knee on somebody's neck. It says that George Floyd was a human, and that, I think, triggered people's disgust. And we had been locked up, and so we came out. And what has happened since then is that local governments, state governments, and the national government has taken steps to make sure that doesn't happen again.
Till now.
Well, yeah, but I think the combination of the erasure, a combination of the exclusion, a combination of targeting of Black people is going to pull us together, cause us to act in ways that we think are necessary to assure ourselves, because no people have ever accepted subjugation, and this administration is about Black subjugation. So it can happen. The question is, how do we make it happen?
Right. Claudette Perry says this is simply a different time.
It is.
Unfortunately, the No Kings March, and my view, has to be an integrated march. So I guess you can't compare the two, right?
Well, I think that all people, resist, and what the Million Man March was our way of showing our level of resistance, Black man's resistance to the racism in our society. I think that these No King March is broad and deep, and it expresses and captures, I think, the kind of universal, what's developing into, hopefully universal resistance, to the fascism in the White House. But I also think there's, and certainly we've been discussing this within Black Lives Matters grassroots, is that we need to have a time when we show up and show out our opposition to the fascism and white supremacists that's in the White House today. And so it may be different. Certainly, the biggest difference is that it will be led, directed by Black women. This is the best work I've done in 55 years, and for two reasons. One, because it's led, founded, and directed by Black women, and two, how we deal with impacted families. And so if there is a Million March, it's going to be led, and directed by Black women. It'll uplift the whole community, and it'll be centered around the meaningful and valuable things in our communities that we have to fight for. But it'll be led by Black women.
I love that. And I think that's a perfect note to end on. Thank you, Baba Akili, for waking up and joining us this morning. And we'd love to have you back.
I would love to come back. We could talk more about reparations and some of the other things. But I think I'd love to come back and talk about just simple Black power.
I love it.
Thank you.
Peace and love. Have a good
Thanks
one.
a lot. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Rich conversation right there. Rich, very rich. And we were talking about the No Kings rally. And it's important to know that Trump may launch missiles from warships this Friday and Saturday during the No Kings parade. Now, sources tell Midas Touch that the White House will shut down portions of I-5, which is a highway here in California, for Vice President J.D. Vance's Marine Corps spectacle during the No Kings protest, triggering chaos, gridlock, and outrage amid the government shutdown. Now, the Midas Touch has learned from several sources that the White House has plans to close major sections of the interstate for this Friday and Saturday. And they're saying that this is just a vanity parade, that it's marking the 250th anniversary. And so Trump may be shooting missiles here in California during the parade.
Yeah. It's a wrap.
All
What else
right.
you got?
I mean, it's a lot happening right now, but these are
Yeah.
things we need to know. And more greed, Trump has announced a new website called Trump RX that he said will allow Americans to buy prescription drugs at a discounted rate after a deal he made with Pfizer.
Is
Is
this not a
that
dictatorship? Is this not a dictatorship? Come on, come on, come on.
now, moving on, at the request of the Department of Justice, a Facebook group with nearly 80,000 people to report sightings of ICE agents in the Chicago area has been taken down by Meta. Now, the Trump plan says agents wearing face masks, no badges, and at times in unmarked vehicles without license plates are under attack. So they took the they took the page down where the people were mobilizing.
Like I said, get your passports, get out of here while you can, if you can.
And in more Trump plan news, the Homeland Security's official X account posted the word remigration. Okay. Now, this is a term straight out of Europe's Great Replacement movement used by the far right extremists to push mass deportation of non-white immigrants. Now, this is what the Trump Klan administration is posting.
Right. And you got idiots who say, "Oh, we're all for what he's doing." Yeah, go away, crawl under the rock you came from, and stay there. That's
How
all.
does the Department of Homeland Security post remigrate? That is insane.
That's what it is.
Dr. Marilyn says Black people stay home. You know, I've decided I'm going to the No Kings parade. Rally. I'm going. I have to go. And our word on the street is Hakeem Jeffries will be here.
Okay. Speaking of No Kings,
so you have congressional members. So what's happening on Saturday? May draw over 1 million plus people across the country. And you will have congressional members dispersed all across the country. Big name people. Dr. Melina Abdullah is speaking. A lot of people are coming out. And Trump is mad about it. Make no mistake, you have to be vigilant. I know. And you have to be on your P's and Q's, because if something does break out, the first people they going after is people of color. We do know that.
Listen, what you say, remigration? Give me a break.
So somebody said APAC Shakur. But let's end on a good note. I have a little good news. There are some good white people out there, y'all. And I'm talking about Mackenzie Scott. She's done it again by awarding Morgan State University a $63 million unrestricted gift. It's her second donation to the university, and it brings her contributions to $103 million, one of the most significant private gifts ever received by an HBCU. So congratulations to Morgan State University. And like I say, there are some good white people out here.
And she gave $70 million too recently to the United Negro College Fund. So good for her, and good for them, and congratulations to her for keeping things going in the Black community. Unfortunately, we've run out of time. I'd love to talk some more and give you some Black history and all that. We'll give you some more of that tomorrow, though. So join us tomorrow and go to BlackPressUSA. Tell them to go to BlackPressUSA, Niele.
Oh, for sure. But definitely celebrate Black men today. Be kind to Black men today. They're feeling a little unloved based upon the Black women's movement. So celebrate Black men today. Tell them you love them, tell them assalamu alaikum and everything else. And then go get your news at BlackPressUSA.com.
We'll see you tomorrow, folks.